The explosion tore through the night sky like a falling star on steroids. Jake Morrison dropped his coffee mug, the ceramic shattering against the wooden deck as he stared up at the brilliant streak of light carving through the darkness above. The Colorado mountains. What the hell? He muttered, grabbing his binoculars from the porch railing. The light was too bright to sustain to be a meteor. Living 40 miles from the nearest town had its perks. No light pollution meant he could see everything the sky had to offer. But this was different. The object, whatever it was, disappeared behind the pine-covered ridge about 2 miles east of his cabin. Jake waited, counting seconds. Then came the impact, a distant rumble that shook the ground beneath his feet and sent wildlife scattering through the forest. His engineering background kicked in. The trajectory, the sustained burn, the controlled descent. This wasn't natural. Jake grabbed his emergency pack and headlamp, muscle memory from his days designing spacecraft guiding his preparations. If someone was hurt out there, they'd need help fast. The hike through the dense forest took 40 minutes. His headlamp beam danced across broken branches and scorched earth. As he followed the trail of destruction, the smell of burning metal and ozone filled his nostrils as he pushed through a curtain of damaged pine boughs. The escape pod sat in a crater of its own making, its hull cracked and smoking. Jake approached cautiously, his heart racing. The craft was unlike anything he'd seen in his 15 years at NASA. Sleek, organic curves that seemed to flow like liquid metal, now twisted and blackened. A soft moan came from inside. "Hello," Jake called out, circling the wreckage. "Can you hear me?" Through a jagged tear in the hull, he saw her. Pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in his flashlight beam. Vibrant red curls matted with something that looked like blood. She was unconscious, definitely not human, and definitely alive. Jake's hands shook as he carefully widened the opening. The woman alien was small, probably 5'4", with delicate features and 2 arms, 2 legs. Everything in the right place except for that impossible skin color. Her breathing was shallow, rapid. Okay, he whispered, more to himself than to her. "Let's get you out of here." The moment his fingers touched her wrist to check for a pulse, warmth shot up his arm like electricity. The alien's eyes snapped open, brilliant golden orbs that seemed to look straight through him. "You," she whispered in accented English, her voice like silk over gravel. "You are." Then she was unconscious again, and Jake was carrying a beautiful alien woman through the forest toward his cabin, wondering if he'd lost his mind. The glowing mark on his wrist suggested otherwise. Kira awoke to the smell of coffee and bacon, her golden eyes fluttering open to find herself on a leather couch wrapped in soft blankets. The human Jake. She remembered his name from his scattered thoughts during the rescue. Stood at the kitchen counter, his back to her. "You're awake," he said without turning around. "How do you feel?" She sat up slowly, testing her limbs. The crash had left her bruised but intact. "Better. Thank you for..." She paused, searching for the English words. "For saving me." Jake turned, offering her a mug of coffee. His dark eyes were cautious but kind. "You speak English well for someone from another planet. I studied your broadcasts. Your species fascinates us." She accepted the coffee, their fingers brushing. Again, that electric warmth passed between them, and she saw him feel it too. "Jake, we need to talk about what happened in the forest." He sat across from her, running a hand through his disheveled brown hair. "Look, I don't know what you are or where you came from, but when you touched me, you triggered something." Kira pushed up her sleeve, revealing the intricate silver marking that now adorned her pale blue wrist. It pulsed with soft light, like a living tattoo. "Show me your arm." Jake's face went pale. He rolled up his sleeve, revealing an identical mark on his own skin. "What the hell is this?" "A life bond. Among my people, the Valarians, it happens rarely. When 2 souls recognize each other as perfect matches, the bond manifests physically." She reached out, her fingers tracing the mark on his wrist. The design flared brighter at her touch, and Jake's breath caught. "That's impossible. We just met. The bond doesn't care about logic." Kira moved closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. "I can feel your emotions, Jake. Your confusion, your fear, your attraction to me." He stood abruptly, pacing to the window. "This is insane." You're telling me some alien magic has made us. What? Married? Bonded? And yes, it is permanent. She rose gracefully, approaching him slowly. I know this is overwhelming, but I need you to understand I cannot survive without you now. The bond requires proximity, or what? I die. She placed her hand on his chest, feeling his heart racing beneath her palm. And in time, so would you. Jake stared down at her, his logical mind warring with something deeper. Despite everything, he found himself drawn to her ethereal beauty, her courage, the way she looked at him like he was her whole world. What's your name? He asked quietly. Kira. She smiled, and it transformed her entire face. Kira Velter of the 7th house. Well, Kira Velter, Jake said, his hand covering hers. I guess we need to figure this out together. 3 days later, Jake's peaceful mountain existence shattered with the distant thrum of helicopters. He grabbed his binoculars, scanning the valley below as military aircraft swept back and forth in search patterns. There, looking for your ship, he told Kira, who was curled up on the couch reading one of his engineering textbooks. She learned incredibly fast, already speaking English with only a slight accent. I destroyed the navigation systems before I crashed, she said, not looking up from the book. But the hull signature will still be detectable. Hull signature? Specific electromagnetic resonance. Each Valarian ship has a unique frequency. Like your fingerprints. She glanced up, noting his worried expression. They won't find it easily. But they will find it. Jake's cabin was well hidden, built into a natural grove of aspens with camouflaged solar panels and an underground generator. He'd chosen the location specifically for privacy after leaving NASA. Now that paranoia might save their lives, we need to move you to the back room, he said. No windows. Soundproofed for my workshop. As they prepared the hiding space, Kira suddenly gasped, pressing her hand to her chest. The mark on her wrist pulsed erratically. What's wrong? Jake caught her as she swayed. Too much distance, she whispered. I can't be more than a few feet away from you for long. Jake felt it to a hollow ache that grew stronger as the space between them increased. He pulled her close, and immediately the discomfort faded. This is really happening, he murmured against her hair. I'm sorry, Kira said, her voice thick with emotion. I never meant for this to happen to you. I was fleeing an arranged marriage, a political alliance I couldn't escape. The explosion was sabotage. My fiance's family wanted me dead rather than risk losing their investment. Jake tilted her chin up, looking into her golden eyes. Hey, I'm not sorry. The confession hung between them, heavy with implication. Without thinking, Jake leaned down and kissed her. Kira melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt as she kissed him back. With desperate hunger, the sound of helicopters grew louder, but for a moment, nothing else mattered. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. We should, Jake started. Hide. Yes, but Kira didn't move away. After this is over, we need to talk about what comes next. What do you mean my people will come looking for me eventually? And when they do, you'll have to choose. She touched his face gently. Your world or mine. Before Jake could respond, the sound of vehicles crunching up his dirt road made them both freeze. Time to disappear. Hidden in the soundproofed workshop, Jake and Kira waited as agents searched his cabin. They sat pressed together on a narrow cot, the bond making separation impossible. Every few minutes, Kira would shiver and Jake would pull her closer. Tell me about your home, he whispered, desperate for distraction. Valaria is beautiful, she said softly. Crystal cities that float above purple seas. Our sun is smaller than yours, cooler. Everything has a blue tint. She smiled sadly. I was born to be a diplomat, to bridge worlds. Instead, I became a runaway. Why didn't you want to marry whoever he was? Prince Zephyr. He's cruel, sees women as possessions. She shuddered. The night before our ceremony, I overheard him telling his guards how he planned to break me. So I stole a ship and ran. Jake's jaw clenched. I'm glad you did, are you? Even knowing what it means for you. He turned to face her fully, his hand cupping her cheek. Kira, I've been alone for 3 years. I came to these mountains to disappear, to stop feeling anything. Then you crashed into my life and made me remember what it's like to want something more. The bond influences emotions, she warned. How do you know what you feel is real? Because I felt it before I knew about the bond. Jake's thumb traced her bottom lip. When I saw you in that wreckage, something in me just clicked, like I'd been waiting for you my whole life. Kira's eyes filled with tears. I felt it too, even unconscious. I knew you were different, special. Their lips met again, softer this time, full of promise. Jake's hands tangled in her red curls as she pressed closer, her body warm and pliant against his. The marks on their wrists began to glow, pulsing in rhythm with their heartbeats. I need you, Kira whispered against his mouth. Not just the bond. I need you. Jake's control snapped. He lifted her easily, her legs wrapping around his waist as he pressed her against the wall. She gasped as he kissed her neck, finding sensitive spots. That made her arch against him. Jake, she moaned, her hands working at his shirt buttons. Please. They moved together with desperate urgency, clothes disappearing in a tangle of limbs and whispered endearments. When Jake finally joined with her, both cried out as the bond flared to life, connecting them in ways beyond the physical. Later, wrapped in each other's arms, they listened to the searchers finally drive away. They'll be back, Jake said, pressing a kiss to her temple. I know. Kira traced patterns on his chest. But I'm not afraid anymore. Whatever happens, we face it. Together. The rescue ship arrived 2 weeks later, descending from the dawn sky like a silver teardrop. Jake watched from his porch as it landed in the meadow below, his heart heavy with dread. They found me, Kira said, emerging from the cabin. She wore one of his flannel shirts over her alien garments, looking impossibly beautiful and heartbreakingly sad. Who are they? My brother's fleet. Commander Thane was my protector before I fled. She took his hand, their marks pulsing with warm light. He's offering me safe passage home. Protection from Zephyr's family. That's good, Jake said, though the words felt like glass in his throat. You'll be safe. Will I? She turned to face him, golden eyes bright with unshed tears. Jake, I can't survive without you. The bond can be broken, a new voice interrupted. A tall figure in flowing robes approached from the ship, clearly Valarian, with the same pale blue skin and ethereal beauty, but with silver hair instead of red. Sister, Altair. Kira's voice was strained. You shouldn't have come. A life bond with a human? Altair's tone was disapproving. Father is furious, but the council has agreed to dissolve it if you return willingly. Jake felt like he'd been punched. You can break it. The process is unpleasant, Altair admitted. But yes, both parties must agree, and there are risks. What kind of risks? Kira demanded. Memory loss, emotional damage. Some don't survive the severing. Altair's expression softened. But you would be free to live your own life, sister, and the human could return to his. Jake looked at Kira, seeing his own pain reflected in her eyes. Maybe that's best. You could go home, be safe. I could. No. Kira's voice was fierce. I won't let them hurt you. Kira, I've made my choice. She turned to her brother. Tell the council I choose my bond. Tell them I choose Jake. Altair sighed. Then you choose exile. You can never return to Valaria. I know. Jake stared at her, overwhelmed. You'd give up everything for me. You are everything, she said simply. My home, my future, my heart. Without you, I have nothing. Then we go together, Jake said suddenly. Both aliens turned to him in surprise. I'm coming with you, Jake. You don't understand what you're saying. Kira protested. You'd be leaving Earth forever. Your family, your life. I have no family. And my life began the night you crashed into it. Jake pulled her close, kissing her deeply. I love you, Kira. Bond or no bond, I love you. I love you too, she whispered against his lips. Altair cleared his throat. The ship to the outer colonies leaves at sunset. If you're both certain, we're certain, they said together. 6 months later, Jake stood on the observation deck of their home on Nexus Station, watching ships come and go in the busy spaceport. Kira wrapped her arms around him from behind, her growing belly pressed against his back. Any regrets? She asked, as she did every morning. Only that I waited so long to find you, he replied. As he did every morning, their daughter kicked, making them both laugh. Half human, half Valarian. She would be something entirely new, something beautiful. Just like their love, the end.